Who likes matcha? Matcha has been steadily growing in popularity over the years, especially as an alternative to those who prefer to have less caffeine. It's packed with antioxidants, which may help support heart health, boost metabolism, and provide anti-inflammatory properties. And it's also known for enhancing mood and concentration. So if you're even considering trying matcha out, I don't know about you, but there are way too many health benefits to not at least try. Hey, my name is Chelsea, and I love matcha. And if you want to hear me rant about coffee shops and matcha, keep on watching. I also make commentary videos about trending topics, so if you're interested, you should follow for more. Over the past year, I made the switch from coffee to matcha after realizing just how much of a negative impact caffeine was having to my body. Think excess stress, breakouts, and trouble sleeping. Not the vibe. It's funny because before I made the switch, I was actually on a journey of trying to find the best latte, as in coffee, in LA. But between cutting back on my caffeine consumption and just the sheer amount of cafes available to try out in the area, it just didn't seem like so much of a reality anymore. So this led me to a new goal, which was to try, you guessed it, every single matcha latte in LA. This is definitely a more tangible goal considering there aren't as many matcha-focused cafes in Southern California, and matcha isn't necessarily sold at all coffee shops, so the list is much smaller than when I was trying to find all the cafes. In February, I actually had the opportunity to visit Japan, which is the birthplace of matcha. While I was there, I got to experience high-quality matcha lattes and desserts and really see firsthand how matcha is made traditionally by experts. I tried the best matcha latte ever from the Matcha Tokyo, and I also toured the Marakyu Koyameyan matcha factory, which if you're a fan of matcha, you've probably heard of. Now, it's no surprise that matcha outside of Japan just doesn't quite hit the same. As I began on my new quest to find the best matcha latte, I began to notice a pattern. The matcha lattes that I got from American coffee-focused cafes tended to be so mid and disappointing. But the lattes from Asian-owned cafes, way higher in quality and usually tasted better. Which honestly makes sense because matcha literally comes from Asia, so it's not shocking that they can do it better. What's frustrating though is that there are so many coffee shops, yet they are still charging premium prices for subpar matcha. If I'm paying $7-8 for a matcha latte, I want a matcha latte. Not a sad, bitter, poopy green drink. You know what I mean?
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
I get it. Matcha has been gaining a lot of popularity over the past decade or so, and I've seen an especially larger increase in demand in just the past couple of years. So it's cool to see more and more places offer matcha as an option, especially as someone who's trying to limit my caffeine intake. Again, I'm no matcha expert, I'm just more of an enthusiast, but I can tell for the most part what makes a bad matcha latte from a good one. And if you're gonna hop onto the matcha bandwagon, you gotta do it justice and make it right. Take the Starbucks matcha latte for example. While they haven't exactly jumped onto the bandwagon, they've been offering matcha drinks since 2006. Their version is far from the ceremonial grade authentic matcha you can find at cafes that truly care. Starbucks uses a pre-sweetened matcha powder that doesn't require traditional preparation, resulting in a pale green, overly sweet milk that's missing that earthy, rich flavor that I crave in a good matcha latte. Sure, you could add an extra scoop of matcha to strengthen the taste, but that also means you're adding more sugar since it's pre-sweetened, making the drink even sweeter. And sometimes you just want to taste the matcha, not drown in sweetness. And despite this, you are still paying $5.95 for a grande, which is truly a ripoff considering you're really just paying for sweetened green milk. Unless you enjoy it, then by all means, go and get it. I've been to a few local cafes that sell matcha similar to that of Starbucks, and again, it's great that they're offering it, but come on, I'm here for the real authentic tea, not just something that looks like matcha because of its slightly green hue. Like making the perfect cup of coffee, matcha is a craft, which is why it's so annoying when I get below mid matcha from cafes. I don't want to be paying a premium for pre-sweetened matcha, I want the good stuff. But what makes a good matcha, you ask? Again, I'm no expert, but this is what I look for in a good matcha latte. First off, the matcha needs to be of a higher grade. This typically alludes to ceremonial grade matcha, which means that the leaves are from the first harvest of the season and doesn't include twigs and other stuff that makes it less pure. There's actually a lot that goes into the cultivation of matcha leaves that I learned from the matcha factory tour in Japan. For example, better matcha is created from shade-grown tea leaves that are young, aka first harvest, and are hand-picked, steamed, and then stone ground into a fine powder. Ceremonial grade tends to be more vibrant in color and has a less bitter and astringent taste compared to that of culinary grade, which is used more often for cooking. So pretty much do not get culinary grade matcha if you plan on using it for lattes because it will taste repulsive. But if you just want to make some cookies with it, it's totally fine. Go ahead. There are so many matcha brands out there these days, and to be honest, I'm still working my way through them, so I don't really have a strong opinion on which one's the best quite yet. However, I will say that Marukyou Koyameyan has recently gone viral and for good reason. Their matcha is top tier in terms of quality and surprisingly affordable compared to a lot of other brands. Also, the lady that gave us the tour at their factory in Japan was literally the sweetest, so I may be a little biased when I say to definitely check out the brand. But apart from the quality of the matcha powder itself, the execution is just as important. If it's not whisked well with the proper technique, you're more likely than not to end up with clumps of matcha, resulting in a less homogeneous and enjoyable beverage. It's also important that enough matcha is added to the drink in the first place, or else it'll taste more like milk than actual matcha. While making matcha does require some technique, it's definitely not difficult to make, which is why there isn't much of an excuse for cafes to be serving subpar lattes. While mastering and executing traditional matcha techniques may not always be practical in a high-paced environment like a traditional cafe, the least they could do is prioritize using higher quality ingredients that will respect the cultural origins. Matcha isn't just some trendy drink, it carries deep cultural significance that should be reflected in the beverage. Cutting corners, especially when charging such a premium, is just doing a disservice to the customers and its traditions. I really do love supporting local businesses, but if you're going to be charging the top dollar for a matcha latte, it should live up to that. They gotta do it right! I'm saying this on behalf of everyone who loves matcha and is fed up. Do you agree with me, or am I just going crazy? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, talk to you later. Bye!